and think about what the rejection is. Is it a rejection of me, or is it an insecurity of mine coming out, feeling rejected?
It's something that I worked for. I had the goal in mind, and I sacrificed a lot, and I put my heart and soul into it, and then I was told no.
Welcome to a conversation between two friends.
This is Alice.
And I'm David.
And this is Truthfully Yours.
We are by no means experts or teachers, just speaking honestly within the bounds of friendship. If you found your way here, maybe there's something in that honesty meant for you too.
We invite you to lean in, and perhaps you'll recognize your own journey in ours.
This is a conversation about rejection, the kind that makes you wonder if you're good enough, and what happens when you realize it's only a detour. This episode is for anyone who's ever been told no and wondered what's next. This is Truthfully Yours. Now here's Alice and David.
My son Eli, and he's a senior in high school. We've been waiting to hear back from his college of choice, which is the University of Washington, Seattle. And today I was at the dentist's office, literally in the chair this morning, 8:30 in the morning. And I get this text. And I'm looking at my watch, my Apple Watch. And it's a friend of mine who said his son didn't get in. But, has Eli heard? And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, no, I haven't heard. And he's at school.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking no news is bad news, actually. Because I know my son, he would tell me. And so when I was done with my appointment, I texted him and I said, hey, I heard UW decisions came out. Have you heard anything? Nothing. Radio silence. 45 minutes go by.
No, lifetime for you.
Yes. Because I've been through this before with my other daughters. And we've always been on, the positive side of this. And so by the time I finally heard from him, it turns out he did get in, which is great. We're super excited about that. But he didn't get into the program he wanted. So he hasn't had to deal with much disappointment in his life. So this would be, I would say, the first time I could tell he was disappointed. He's a sad kid right now. And we've been texting even while I've been with you. We've been texting. And I can just feel his emotion through his texts. Like, even when I try to reassure him it's going to be okay, I get a text back. Thanks, Mom. And I'm thinking that's all I got. Where before, there'd be all these emojis. And so I'm struggling as a parent today, along with a lot of other parents.
I remember being in the same boat, but as much older. I applied to UW for nursing programs, a 4-year program and also an accelerated program. And I did not make it in either time. But you know what? I ended up applying to several schools outside of the state. And out of all of those, I selected to go to Ohio. I ended up moving there, flew over there on New Year's Day, started my program the next day.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was also the time of my life. I had the opportunity to build my own life away from my family and friends. I didn't know anybody when I moved there. I knew no one. But it's very interesting that, one door was shut and this other avenue opened for me that I would not have picked without experiencing that level of disappointment and honestly rejection. But to then be compelled to move, across the country and create my own life, I made lifelong friends. I lived by myself in an apartment, which I've lived by myself before, but in a whole new city, you get to learn way more about you. I'm just saying that I never would have gone that route in my life if there weren't for, the sting of rejection from the University of Washington.
We still love UW. Go Huskies. In your case, I think it shows just how adventurous and open you are as a person, which is something that will take you really far in life.
If you had told me this, the night I got rejected, I would have been like, fuck you, I'm ordering cheesecake or something, and I'm like eating my feelings. Like that's what that moment was like for me. It's something that I worked for. I had the goal in mind, and I sacrificed a lot, and I put my heart and soul into it, and then I was told no.
Rejection's hard.
Yeah, and you don't get over it right then and there.
I think it's hard as a parent to not feel the weight of that for your child.
Yeah, probably more so. Like if my mom were still alive and we're sort of living my life alongside me at that time, I think it would have been exquisitely difficult for her. I was 37, switching into a career in healthcare. I felt like I laid out my life story in my admission letter and then was told no.
Right. People often say, I hate when people say this, rejection is redirection.
You hate that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know it's true, but it can be true, but that's not what you want to hear in the moment when you're getting
rejected,
rejected,
what you want to hear
right?
in the moment. No. I think, honestly, the things that helped were other people that had gone through what I was experiencing in that moment. That's really, honestly, the only thing that helped me. Your instinctual reaction is to feel isolated, alone, and rejected. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the right pedigree or whatever. And then when you hear other people that you really look up to and respect and know how hard they've also worked for that goal, not get in either, then you're like, okay, a little bit of balance restored maybe. But in the big grand scheme of things, not everyone reaches their goals.
Right. That's true. It's so funny because I'm still processing all of this because this literally just happened 2 hours ago. Like in my heart of hearts, I know everything's going to work out as it should. Like, yeah, it's a setback. Yeah, it's not what he wanted, but he's still super talented. He still is really gifted in, computer science. Hopefully he'll be like you, or like in 5 years, he'll be working somewhere and say, it all worked out.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, our emotional reaction is just that. And you can either feed it or you can kind of take a step back from it and say, okay, what's the truth here? And the truth here is exactly what you're saying. Everything will be all right. And you may have to remind yourself of that, but that's just helping to calm your emotions in that moment because they're strong.
This reminds me of another story about my daughter when she was looking for internships. I think she had probably over 200 rejection letters for internships.
Wow.
And she shared a Google sheet with me that she was tracking her internships. And it was so hard for me to see this when she would mark it red, crossed out. And I just remember at the top, she said, I just need one yes. And she wrote that.
That's awesome. It's a positive mindset in a sea of
Well, this
red.
is, of course, this is after all the rejections, right? I just need one yes.
Yeah.
The
yes, look at her now.
Yeah, the yes came from Amazon. And she's thriving there. She's still there.
Yeah.
And so I have to tell myself these stories. I have to remember the things of how it worked out. And sometimes we don't have faith or we lose faith. But sometimes we can hold on to the faith of other people.
Yes. Do you personally have any stories where you had a goal that you worked for and sacrificed for and then didn't make it?
Oh, I'm sure I do, to be honest. It's like, where would I even start?
But I think it's harder to find those as you get older. Like, it happen a lot more when we're young.
Because you have to put yourself out there to get rejected.
You definitely do. And you have to be like, hey, I'm starting my life. Where do I belong? As you're an adult, you ask those questions less and less.
There's rejection of relationships, which, who hasn't been rejected in relationships within friendships or romantic interests, right? However, there are times where I feel like I'm in a community group of people where I feel rejected because of a reason that is outside my control.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you come to terms with that?
Sometimes I feel like I have to take a step back and think about what the rejection is. Is it a rejection of me, or is it an insecurity of mine coming out, feeling rejected?
Right.
Like, I know what types of community groups that I feel really comfortable in, and which kind of community groups I don't feel comfortable in. And the ones I don't feel comfortable in are typically where I look around and I'm the only minority. Is that my insecurity speaking, or is it me? I do know when it's me, where people make it their mission to make sure that they point out how we're different. Is that a hard rejection, or I don't know. I don't think we should take rejection as rejection per se.
Right.
Because even though I did say earlier that I don't like that phrase, rejection is redirection.
Sure.
I think rejection is also something that clarifies a path we should take, in the sense where unless you have expanded yourself to multiple opportunities and multiple pathways, how do you know which direction you should go? Versus if you just decide on one direction.
Love One Direction, by the way.
Yeah, I do love them too.
Story of my life.
Don't do this to me. Don't pivot away. Don't pivot away.
You know, I think rejection is feedback. Maybe is a little.
That's
bit
what I
better
mean. Yes,
because
feedback.
We've heard
Thank you.
stories of people, and we've also experienced ourselves times in our lives when we've just sort of doubled down and say, you know what, I was told no, but I know this is what I want. I know this is what is meant for me, so I will double down on my efforts. I will try harder. I'll apply again next year. Whatever it is, this case is like. It doesn't always mean when God closes the door, a window is open. No, sometimes God is saying, kick the damn door down.
Or sometimes he nails us shut.
Yeah, exactly.
He nails it shut,
so
puts a triple lock on it, and that's it.
More importantly is, what is the feedback that I received here? Like get down to more the nitty gritty. Was I deficient in some areas? Is that something that I can improve on? And if the fact of the matter is there were just 50 people that had a better claim, come to terms with that. You mentioned earlier that sort of innate sense of interest in something that drives you to try things. And that's just, to me, is one of the most beautiful things because, say I wanted to try cooking, Alice. If I looked at it like a challenge I'd have to beat and like I have to be perfect in everything I did, and as opposed to just being curious.
Yes.
And asking the dumb questions.
Yes.
Like that's such a better way to approach learning new things and leveling up as a human being. Find what you're interested in.
I think there's more joy on that path as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you can fail and you can say, cool, okay, not doing it that way again.
But when you succeed, it's so fun.
Exactly.
And it's exhilarating.
Like more fun. And it's less of a gut punch when you make a mistake because you can just view it as a step along the way as opposed to, oh, well, I didn't do it perfectly. Maybe it's not meant for me.
But with that said, I think rejection is just feedback. And it's not feedback you should take personal. It's just feedback of, hey, what else is out there?
Yeah. There's just so many different ways that we can actually reach our goals. Even if it's not the exact same path that we thought we wanted.
When we pursue a path that is meant for us instead of us deciding that this has to be the path.
If you can see your next step in front of you and the next step in front of you and the next step in front of you, that's because someone else already did it.
That's true.
You're on your own journey. And that's the beautiful thing. And that way, you reach the end of your life, whenever that day comes, hopefully a long ways away, you can look back over that and said, I'm the only me. And it's pretty epic.
I also think that there are people who go on this journey to figure things out. Their story is way better. It's a detour. That's what it is. It's only a detour. And
forging new paths.
Forging new paths.
Love that.
That's the way we should go.
And it's okay to accept feedback along the way and redirect if that's the course or double down.
So maybe we shouldn't call it rejection.
I think you could name your emotion.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. Because a lot of times with the sort of unknown comes the fear, and fear thrives off the unknown. So feeling things, naming things, understanding things helps to rid us of fear.
And helplessness.
And the unknown. Yeah.
And helplessness. When you were redirected, you had probably the most amount of growth as a human being. And sometimes it just lights a fire under our butt to go on an adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe to Truthfully Yours wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love for you to share this with someone who might need to hear it. New episodes weekly on Thursdays. For more about the show and Alice and David, visit truthfullyyours.com.